Hello, my name's Richard and I am the race director at Beyond Marathon. I'd like to welcome all of the participants who are going to be running the Shropshire Three Peaks Ultra, which takes place in June. So this presentation is designed to give you a little bit of an overview of the course, some hints and tips, things to look out for along the way. Before I move on to that, I'm sure you all know all of the other events which we operate each year. There's quite a few of them listed on there now. Some have taken place already, but we've still got Gritstone Grind. I think that's full actually. We've still got a few spots left on 12 Labours of Hercules, Dust Till Dawn, King Offa's Dyke Race. I think the full distance is full, but there may be a few spots left on the 100 miler in case anybody is interested. So if you enjoy our events, tell lots of people and have a look at some of our other events later in the year or next year. Okay, you should all by now have received this participant guide. If you haven't, then contact me at info@beyondmarathon.com and I will send you a copy. It's got some very important information in here about the race, including a route description, which is very, very key. The other thing it's got on is a picture of the medal, which you'll be getting on the finish line, so that's something to look forward to. So within this guide, you're going to find everything you need. So you have the location, which is at Ludlow Rugby Club. I'll show you where that is in a little more detail. It's not far from a train station if you're coming by train, so you can just walk over. The venue does have plenty of parking. Some information there on what's going to be happening at registration. There's a kit list on there. Which maps you would need, there's a variety to choose from. You can either choose the Land Ranger or Explorer maps. The Explorer maps are the more detailed ones. You could also have a Harvey map as well, which is the one in 40k. So there's a few options to choose from there, and those maps would be useful when accompanied by the route description, which you'll see at the end. If you do decide to buy the Explorer maps, we recommend you probably avoid buying the 216 because it's only got the first 2 or 3 miles on or something like that, so it's barely worth it. You can survive on the route description alone for those first few miles, so save yourself some cash and don't go and get that map. Beyond that, make sure you take note of all of the mandatory kit and all of the recommended kit as well. There's a list of checkpoints in there, the kind of food which we will have on the checkpoints. We vary some of the food. You won't find everything at each CP. You might find perhaps more savoury food at the later checkpoints, so we do try and mix it up a little bit. There's a little bit of information on navigation. You can download from the Three Peaks website a PDF of the course, low-res PDF, and also GPS files if you're going to install a GPX file perhaps onto a Garmin device, or maybe you've got a smartphone and you've installed a free app such as View Ranger, very handy for backup navigation. You can then import the GPS file which we supply by clicking that link, and that'll take you to the route or the course page. You can download it from there. Some information there if you've got a Garmin. And just to mention, we have got paramedic support once again provided by Ultramedics at this event. A little bit of information about the risks. Everyone is going to be getting a race drone GPS tracking device, which is one of these little items here, about the size of a matchbox. You'll be given one of those when you register, and it comes in a little holder, and just pop that onto the strap of your rucksack or inside your bag, in your waist belt, wherever you like, and you will be able to, it'll transmit your location to the website. All of your followers and friends, if you share that with them on social media, they will be able to see where you are. As well as that, it will automatically check you in to various checkpoints on the course, and I'll show you a little bit more about that when we look at the map. Okay, finally, most importantly, there is a written route description which you need to print and bring with you. So very important that you do bring this, because you'll find navigating the course a lot more straightforward than if you just have the map. That said, the course isn't particularly challenging to navigate. Where possible, we're using the Shropshire Way. There is also some use of the Jack Mitten Way, and from time to time we use a little bit of road, and on a couple of occasions we actually come off the Shropshire Way because we've deemed it's a little bit too difficult to navigate on one or two small sections due to poor signage. So do make sure you print a copy of that out. Alright, so now I'm going to go on to a picture of the course itself. So if I bring up, this is actually the race drone link which you'll be sharing with your friends and family on the day. So what I'll do is I'll just probably zoom out a little bit too far there. Hold on a second. There we go. So there's the course in its entirety. Checkpoints 1 through to 10. Not all of those are manned checkpoints, only 3 of them are, and the rest of them are virtual checkpoints, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. When you are coming up the course, a list of the participants will appear on this side here. They'll all have your race numbers next to them, and then those numbered flags will appear on the map. And as you make your way up along the course, as you pass by one of the virtual checkpoints, or all of the checkpoints in fact, your time will be logged on this little table in here. If I go and click on this, you would see checkpoints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a list of the competitors, and you would see there the times which you had reached each of those checkpoints. So that's why you have to carry the trackers. What I'm going to do is flip this over to satellite view and take you to have a look at the course. The coach is going to pick you up from Ludlow Rugby Club. I think I can probably find a picture of Ludlow Rugby Club. I'll show you where it is at least. Okay, let me zoom into Ludlow a little bit more. Okay, here's the castle. It's actually in this location here. I think if I zoom in to a slightly better map, it's actually there, even though it doesn't show the rugby club itself. But basically there's a little side road here. The rugby club is this building right here. So in the context of Ludlow, that's where it would be. So most of you are going to be coming in on the A49 from the north or the south. You're more or less heading into the town centre, and then you'll be cutting in this way and making your way around to the rugby club, which is, as I say, just here. Okay, and then you're going to hop on the coach, and once you've registered, use the toilets, hop on the coach. There are no toilets at the start, as you will see. It is just a there are plenty of bushes around, but there are also lots of houses and neighbours, so don't go into the bushes immediately start, because you might get me in trouble with all the neighbours. So try and wait till you've popped into these nearby woods. If you need to go to the loo, I'll try and start you off quite quickly, because I'm sure most of you will want to use the loo quite soon. Okay, so we're going to get dropped off by the coach. Most likely I'm going to get them to drop us off here, which is an old petrol station, and then we're going to very carefully go down this road. This road does not have a pavement, it's not ideal, and we're also I'm going to marshal probably this corner and keep an eye out for traffic coming around here as you all cross over. There is just a single stile, so it's going to take us 5 minutes or so all to hop over here, and I'll actually start you off from this point here once we've crossed through another gate there. So I'll keep an eye out for traffic. I'm not expecting very much traffic that early on a Sunday morning, but nevertheless do beware when you're crossing that road that this can in the daytime sometimes be very busy. So you're going to be starting from this point in time, and soon after heading up a field and then through some woods down to join this farm track here. Just a word of warning, because my wife slipped over on this. There is a little tiny footbridge that you don't even really need to use. You can actually step to the side of it. It's extremely slippy in wet weather, so avoid it or tread very carefully on it, because my wife went down on her arse very, very hard on that, so be careful there. So once you've reached the end of that, you're very briefly joining a little bit of road and then heading across some fields over towards Stipestone Village. This time of year, the path through there should be very well defined and easy to find. There is only one path through there. When you get to this point here, you'll see a little sign that says something to the tune of the right of way goes this way, but there's a permissive path which allows you to continue straight on. So do exactly that and continue straight on until you enter these woods. This is the first area I would urge a little bit of caution. You may not be able to see it, but there is another path there which is slightly more obvious. So basically, as soon as you enter these woods, about 400 meters after that permissive path sign giving you permission, you go up a little hill, you need to fork left and then immediately go down a little hill here. Don't be tempted to start making your way through the woods on the level path, because that's the wrong way. As soon as you exit the woods over the stile, you head over a field, join a farm track and make your way into the Stiperstones village, which is here. You'll be turning left along the road, and then going to just past the Stiperstones Inn. I'm going to zoom in hopefully here and show you what to look for here. Okay, so this is the Stiperstones Inn on the right. If I keep spinning round, there it is. That's the Stiperstones Inn. Just past it is the right turn you need to take, and you'll see this is the right turn there on the road, but there are actually, that was the main road you were on, and there's immediately a fork left and right. You want to go this way, so you're keeping the telephone box on your left hand side, and soon afterwards this path just basically makes its way around all these houses for a couple of miles. Let me zoom back in and I'll show you. So there was that path fork right there. There was the telephone box here, and you're making your way around there. This is a driveway that leads to several houses, and it peters out at about this point in time and becomes a farm track, which begins at this point in time to get much steeper as you climb up on towards the Stiperstones National Park, which is the location of the first Shropshire summit. So you're going to make your way up this path. Incidentally, this is an actual recording of when I recce'd the course, so this is quite literally the path you will take. It starts to get a bit more narrow, and at this point in time you take kind of a little bit of a sharp right, but you're basically following what is a fairly well-defined track right the way up onto a moorland or heathland plateau, at which point in time you'll come to a crossroads. Very easy to spot this crossroads because there's a stone pile or cairn there, and at that point in time you're going to be turning sharp right, and that will lead you in the direction of, you'll see in the distance, these rocky outcrops here, which hopefully you can see. This one's called the Devil's Chair. Then afterwards you'll get to Manstone Rock, which is the where the trig point is for the first summit. Now it is a little bit of a climb if you actually wanted to get up and tag that, so to speak. You're not obliged to do that, you can simply run right past it, but some of you like to go and touch the trig. You will have to scramble round the back of some rocks and do a little bit of fairly easy scrambling to make your way up and touch the trig. Anyway, assuming you do or don't do that, you can continue on along the main path, and shortly afterwards, about 400 metres later I think, you will fork down. Now, one important thing I forgot to mention was the path between about here and about here, which is about a kilometre and a half, is evil, and I've sent you on it because it's evil and it's a talking point. There are cobblestones, quite literally, not placed there, just randomly dropped there by nature, and it's incredibly challenging to run on. It is possible. My tip is run to the right or to the left of the path where the cobblestones join the heathland, and you'll find it's easier underfoot. But you'll all get down from the Stiperstones, and it's probably the first point of conversation that you'll have with me at the next checkpoint, saying you're cursing me for sending you up over the Stiperstones. Anyway, you'll fork down to the main Stiperstones car park, which is at this point in here, and then shortly afterwards you will join the main road and turn left and join what is a road. However, I advise most of you just to take a step to the right of the road, and you can run on the grass all the way down to about this point here, and then you will have to actually join the road and go the last probably it's about another half mile or so down to the road at the end, where you'll do a quick left, then a right, and you'll pass this next virtual checkpoint, which is by the Bridges pub. And shortly after that, so you're not stopping here, there's no refreshments here except the pub if you decide to go in for an early morning drink, and then you'll continue along this road past Bridges Youth Hostel, it's YHA, and then you'll go to the end of this road where there's a sharp left turn. It is a bit of a T-junction, but the main road does actually flow round to the left, and head up and actually take your next right, which is signposted to Church Stretton, and is a road called the Burway. And you'll go right the way up this. It's a bit of a, starts to be a bit of a climb up to this point where you see a sign warning you about wintry road conditions. At that point in time, we advise you come off the road, although it does run more or less parallel, but it's a longer route, as you can see if you were to follow the road. Just come off the road at this point here towards the farm and join this footpath, which cuts a much quicker and shorter path through the heathland. You very briefly cross onto the road for about 10 metres before crossing back into the heathland again, and you'll go all the way ahead until you reach a Path T junction, which is right on top of the Long Mynd area, and just over here actually is Pole Bank, which is the 4th highest peak in Shropshire. So if you wanted a quick K&a-half diversion, if you had the time, you could even go and bag the 4th highest peak in Shropshire as well as the other 3. Anyway, you'll take a left on the top of that heath, and about 800 or so meters later from memory, you should see some little wooden posts leading you down towards Carding Mill Valley. So you're going to follow that, and this is probably going to have quite a lot of walkers on this time of day on a Sunday. So you'll head right the way down. Lovely steep descent, gets a little bit rocky, but it's great to run down all the way down into Carding Mill Valley. You can see the top car park here of the National Trust Centre. National Trust are expecting us, and even one of their members of staff may well be joining us on the day. However, the checkpoint isn't up by the cafe, although there are some toilets there. If you did want to use them, I'm sure they wouldn't mind. So just hop into the toilets by the Carding Mill Cafe, and then make your way further down towards the end of the valley. Just before the end of the valley, well out of the way of all the people and cars, which could be busy, we're going to set up a checkpoint right at the end here. So you'll find us down here, and that is the first manned checkpoint, and it's highly likely that I will be manning that checkpoint myself to see how you're all getting on. Assuming it's all going well, you'll continue on out of Carding Mill Valley on the road, and then through into Church Stretton itself, which is the lovely little tea room and antiques village in the middle here of the Shropshire Hills. You'll pass down the main road and over the railway bridge, and then you'll meet the very, very busy A49. You're going to cross this using the pedestrian crossing, and then shortly afterwards you're going to follow your route description and turn right into Watling Street, and you fork left by a nursing home, and eventually head up through Poplar Street and then go into the Ragleth Hill. Another bit of a word of warning at this point in time: there is a footpath that goes straight ahead here, and it's called Gough's Coppice, Goughs, Gough's Coppice, and you don't go over that stile, so do not enter Gough's Coppice. You're not going that way. Instead, you're taking a little left fork and going around here, eventually making your way quite steeply up this hill to emerge just below the summit of Ragleth Hill, or one end of the summit. Ragleth Hill is actually a kind of double-ended, it's a big long ridge with the actual summit is on this end. So, but you're almost at the top of it anyway, and you'll continue along to what is an information board telling you all about the hill itself. So that is the next virtual checkpoint. Soon after, you'll descend down to the road, take a quick right then left, and you'll be following a road sign that leads you down to this next little town, next little village here. It's actually a little manor house. You'll pass this nice little manor on the left hand side, and then you'll take a sharp left after it. And then you can see here, just to avoid taking you around a sharp U-bend, hairpin bend, which is a little bit dangerous, there is an actual public right-of-way here, so I've taken you off very briefly and you rejoin the road again after a few minutes. Just this is something easy to miss, which people have done on other events. Let me take you down to this point here. So let me hop down there. So you will have come down off that U-bend type of area and be coming along here, and it's very easy to start heading up that road. You're actually, you step a little bit closer, you can just about see there is a little public right-of-way sign on there, so you're actually going down there into the Chalmwick Valley. You're passing to the left of this little wooden garage of this chap's here, so be careful of that. Do make sure you go down there and not that direction. Okay, so let me zoom back out. So this is the Chalmwick Valley. You're going right the way down here, and eventually it's only a single path. You'll go past a few houses and come out. Again, let me see if I can drop into this little bit there. If I drop into that here, which way is it put me around? Yeah, okay, so you're going to come down this little bit here, and you're going to head. It's not very easy to spot, actually. It's easier if I show you on the other bit. Can't quite zoom in enough, but basically you're going to come down this road here and you're going to cross over just here, so it's to the right of these bushes, and you'll just skim along past this farm, a single footpath straight the way across a few fields, and that'll then lead you down to a road. Turn left on the road, then you'll be following the signs as per the route description all the way to the next checkpoint location, which is here. And then you can continue on along the road and you'll be following signs for Eaton, E-A-T-O-N, at that point in time. So a little bit of a road section there for a mile or so up until the point where you reach Eaton. This is Eaton here, this is Eaton Manor. I think you can actually hire this, it's a B&B. There's a church here, and there is a building here called the Old Rectory. And at this point in time, the footpath, the road ends, and you'll be onto a footpath at this point in time. So you pass just to the right of this very fancy house, and then you'll enter the woods and begin a climb up Wenlock Edge. After about 150 metres up a little bit of a trench-like path, you'll come into a clearing where you're going to continue straight on. It's as you can see, it forks slightly to the left, but broadly speaking, there's a footpath crossroads here. I think it says private road on either side, but you'll continue straight up until you climb a hill until you pop out on a stile here on top of Wenlock Edge in a field, and then you've got a very flat few miles. I'm not going to go into too much detail over this, going right the way through all along the same path, very easy to follow until you approach Wilderhope Manor. Now Wilderhope Manor is here, another YHA property. They know we're coming, but they also have a wedding there, and the wedding has exclusive use of the place until midday. Now, for most of you, that won't matter. The odd speedster might get there a little bit before, but most people will probably get there afterwards. So what we don't want to do is I don't want to disturb anyone there who is at the wedding, and neither do I want to have to keep moving the checkpoint all the time. So we will either put the checkpoint just here outside the gate, or potentially just here, which is just after a cattle grid, depending on how much traffic and how many cars there are at this wedding. If they exit quite quickly at 12 o'clock, we may move it down and put it right next to Wilderhope Manor itself. But if in doubt, when you first cross this road, you'll see the sign here for Wilderhope Manor. We may just pop the CP here or the CP there. We'll just have to see how busy it is. Even if the wedding's still in progress, there is a toilet just, let's see if I can zoom in. It's actually here. You'll come round. This is the farm. This is Wilderhope Manor itself, and there's a toilet block here which you can use. Once you've used those, you're then going to almost do a U-turn on yourself, or you are going to do a U-turn on yourself and start heading down this path here. After a couple of 100 metres, you will go through a gate and a stile, and you'll head down into this field. When you just pass this section of trees, it might be quite tempting for you to continue on this direction through a gap, but don't. Make sure you stay in this big field. The route description does make it very clear, so follow that bit carefully, and you'll soon head right down to the end of this field over a stile. Shortly afterwards you'll cross the stream. This is a stream here, not that you can see it in the trees, and you'll make your way along to this farm where you're going to do a very brief right and left, and then continue for the next couple of K right the way down to this farm here, and you'll cross over the stream again and make your way up to a stile and join a B road for all but a couple of 100 metres. Then you're back onto the footpath. This is all Shropshire Way, incidentally. For Wilderhope Manor, you're on Shropshire Way, Shropshire Way, Shropshire Way. So you're going to be following the Shropshire Way, cross these, again joining a road, over more fields again, still following the Shropshire Way until you get to this point here. You can see the road is called Holgate. I'm not sure which actually says it on the road, but you'll take a quick right as per the route description. After 300 metres, you're back onto footpath. Again, straight the way across. It's a single path. Just keep following your nose across. At this point in time, you can't see it, but that actually gets quite steep. Or starts to get steep. That gets very steep. As soon as you enter this copse of trees, which is called Mittens Rough, you'll see that there is a path which forks sharply left and gains a lot more height for a couple of 100 metres. So follow that until you pop out of the trees, and then continue in the same direction until you go over a stile and turn right. And you'll come past, this is Urns Tree Hall. If I zoom in there, again another nice little property here. You just continue along, joining their driveway until you get to the end of the road, and then follow the route description. This section is on the road, so you're going to be going on to the end of the road, turning right, following that all the way along again to the end of the road, this time turning left. And then after again less than just a few hundred meters, you're going to turn right up this hill. There's a little telephone box at this point in time, which, believe it or not, is a bookshop. Pop your nose in and have a look. It's quite cool. And then you're going to be climbing up to your next summit. This is Brownclea Hill, and this summit is Abden Birth of, to give it its proper name. So you're going to be going up the main path up until this point where there's a stile. You hop over that one, there's another stile there, and then you're doing a 300-meter out and back to the next virtual checkpoint. There's a big aerial on top, as per the little medal there shows you, a great big huge kind of transmitter station. You then reverse on your heels for about 300 meters, turn left just before the fence line, follow this all the way along. There's another fence to cross as you continue along here, and then eventually you'll get to another gate and start to make your way up to some trees. As you run down here, not that the map shows it, but this is actually a valley, and it's very tempting to think that you're going to be doing this and following that path, so coming down one part of the valley and going along there or around there, and you're not. You're going to be going up towards those trees, but you're actually just going to stay just outside them. When I did the recce, I actually went into the trees and went through, and then later on I found it was actually easier just to stop just before the trees and turn right and stay outside them all the way until you get to the next transmitter or navigation station, which is here. This next point is an important area to notice, because about 100 meters past it you have to take a sharp right. Now in January this path here wasn't very obvious. There is a little stake in the ground which shows you that, but unless you've got your eyes peeled, you could perhaps quite happily carry on running this direction and run out of path. So essentially 100 meters or so after this second aerial, when you're up on Brownclea, you're going to take a sharp left and head down right towards this other set of trees here. You'll turn right just before them, staying outside the trees, and then shortly after join a rocky path which eventually comes onto a driveway by this building. Follow that all the way down to the very, very end. It becomes a great big wide gravel track. At this point in time it becomes a slightly better road, and you go right the way up here until you reach the B364, which is a little bit of a main road again. And then you're doing a left and a right, signposted Bromden, and you'll make your way down to the next and final manned checkpoint, which is going to be here by the farm just on the corner. So I think our friends Andy and Yvette will be looking after you at that checkpoint, and then you'll be directed up this this farm track here, where you'll emerge just on the heathland in front of the final climb, Titteston Clee. Now Titteston Clee Hill is a bit of a slightly unusual shape. On top of it is a great big radar station. You can just about see there the like a big circular golf ball type structure on there. There's quite a lot of paths on here. You may find in summer it's easier to pick one up, so you're more or less aiming for the rightmost structure initially. So you can see the leftmost structure, sorry, from the direction you'll be coming in, 1, 2, 3 structures. So you kind of start aiming for that one, then eventually at this point in time, you see I actually lost the path there in January and kind of struck my way through the heather and made my way up. There is a slightly better path, assuming you can find it, and you can make your way up. You can actually come up this way and then go along, or you can do as I did, which is head up this direction and then make your way along to the trig point, which is at the end of what is a little bit of a kind of cliff type or a steep drop off. Once you've tagged that, you'll make your way back towards a tarmac road. It might be quite tempting to join that tarmac road, but it will lead you in a big long loop right the way around to here, and you don't really want to do that. You just follow the wooden posts and signs right the way across. Beware, there's lots of quarries and little cliffs all the way over here. It was quite heavily mined in the past, so mind as in digging, not mind as in landmines, I'm sure you realise. So just make your way along beside all the quarries and down to the roads. Hairpin bend here. At this point in time you are leaving the Shropshire Way. The Shropshire Way makes its way in parallel to the road right the way down through here. I can tell you from bitter past experience it's extremely hard to find your way, so I've opted to give you a road section. I don't always like using too much road than is necessary, but in this case you will thank me for it because it's a real headache. So join the road and make your way right the way down to the A4117, which is the main Ludlow road. And at this point in time you'll do a quick left then right, and shortly afterwards you'll probably be picking up signs for the Shropshire Way again. The Shropshire Way does actually lead down, and if you were to follow the Shropshire Way signs it will lead you through here, actually down where the mouse is going, then across to there. It's a little bit fiddly to get through there, even though it is well signed. So I've suggested for this section you follow the route description and make your way through to this, what is a little bit of a housing estate through here, join the road, and then once you get round to this point by the graveyard and the church, which is there, you'll then be back on the Shropshire Way, and it is very, very well signed all the way to Ludlow. But I have got a word of warning which I've mentioned in the guidebook. Let me go and find Ludlow down here. So here is Ludlow. So the section I was just talking about is here. This is Titterston Clee. You've just come down that hill all the way. Now then, and you just come round down by that estate to where the church and the graveyard is. At this point in time, can you see the diamond path which is clearly signed Shropshire Way? On any old Ordnance Survey map, that will be where the Shropshire Way is shown. It has moved. It is no longer there. The Shropshire Way actually follows this here, right the way through to Gainham Hill Fort and then through to there. So this path does exist, but it's not signed the Shropshire Way. So don't trust your map, trust the Shropshire Way waymarks and trust your route description. If you've got the very latest Land Ranger map, then it has been corrected to here, but the latest Explorer map still has, for some reason, it's showing that the wrong route. So don't trust your map, trust the Shropshire Way waymarks, and you'll be led all the way across these fields. And I've written the route description very diligently, so you shouldn't have too much of an issue. And then you'll make your way up and over. This is Gainham Hill Fort, which you'll climb up. You'll go through an earthwork dike which surrounds this like a battlement all the way around. And it's a very nice little area, and the easiest thing to do is to just turn right. Because if you go straight across, there's a danger you kind of might miss that. It's not at the end of the world. You can meet the path a little bit later on, so I don't really mind which way you go, but there is a proper style just here which cuts down into the woods and then makes your way over and across a few more fields, and eventually you have to cross over. Let me see if I can zoom into it. Yeah, that you have to cross over a bridge at this point in time, a big metal, quite scary looking bridge with some pipes underneath it in a river. It's called a brook, but looks like a river to me when I crossed it. It's quite sizable. So you'll cross over that. It's gated at either end. It is a public right of way, but it's like a metal stile that you have to climb. So won't be tremendously easy for lifting dogs over, but you can do it. So just beware on that section. And then you're going to fork right, join the road, and after that point in time you're following the road all the way into Ludlow. You go over the roundabout. After 600 metres you actually have to leave the road, because the road goes under the railway bridge and there's no footpath there. So you follow a little diversion and then go under the bridge, and then you rejoin the road again, at which point in time you'll go all the way towards the town centre, and when you see the co-op, which is here, you fork left. You continue straight on until you get to, you can see that, how well you can see the clock tower at that point in time. Let me just zoom in right in front of the clock tower. Right, okay, so Gifts and Chocolate is a good indicator, and Pitter Patter, which is there, but right in front of you is the clock tower. you're actually going to be going through here and around there where my hand is going. At that point in time, you'll see a sign which says College Street, and it's a little paved footpath and a cut through, and you'll cut through there for about 20-30 meters, and then you'll join the road College Street, which is right next to the church. So, and there you can see St. Lawrence's, which is the church. So you will have cut through there, through onto College Street, and follow College Street right to the end, turn left to Upper Linley, and that goes and joins the main Linley Road, which after another 125 metres, there is the sign which leads you into Telford RUFC, which, there we go, that's Telford RUFC there. I don't think I can zoom in anymore, no I can't. So you're going to be making your way up there, and the finish line is going to be here, right inside the building. So I hope that has told you everything you need to know about the event. If you have any questions, by all means drop me an email or ask them on the Beyond Marathon community Facebook page, where lots of people will usually chip in and answer your questions as well as me. So I will see you bright and early in a couple of weeks' time. Take care until then.